Hey, 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 what's up, everybody? It is Uncle Mad Movie Monday. Now, this series started as Marvel Monday, where we went back, recapped, and rewatched all of the movies from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but we're finally caught up on all that, so now Movie Mondays is what we do. I watch movies, I review them, Movie Monday, it makes sense, everybody understands it, everybody's like, this makes sense. Keep doing this, Uncle Mad. We love this series. Keep it going. This week, big release. The big release of the weekend, we're going to the cinema to see it. The Flash, finally, after years of weird development issues, years of pushback, years of reshoots, years of just the whole DC universe getting reset, which is kind of weird that we're going to do a DC movie on what originally was Marvel Monday. The Flash is finally here. We're going to see it. When I say we, I mean me and Jesta. Jesta, tell everybody how excited you are to see The Flash.
I am not excited.
What? But it's The Flash.
I don't care about the Flash.
Multiverses are colliding. The worlds are falling apart. Everything's going to be crazy. This is the movie. DC tried to start their own universe to compete with the MCU. I'm getting weirded out because I can see myself in this mirror right here. So I'm going to shift. I'm going to change. I keep seeing myself behind myself, so I'm going to change. DC started their own shared movie universe to try to compete with the success of the MCU, starting with Man of Steel, led into Dawn of Justice, Batman vs. Superman. And it was kind of all crappy for the most part. DC Extended Universe. They tried to make it work. Brought in Joss Whedon, who kind of made things worse. This is sort of supposed to be the conclusion, the soft reboot, the end of the DC Extended Universe, but the launch into what's now going to be just known as the DC Universe for film. End of the Snyder era, beginning of the James Gunn, Peter Safran, I think that's the other guy, era of leading DC films. I don't know how much they can have influenced this movie unless there was like some reshoots or some added in scenes, because they only recently kind of took over DC, and this movie was, I think it's been done for like 2 years. I feel like it was originally supposed to come out in like 2021 and kept getting bumped back because of COVID and other things, but whatever. Ezra Miller, The Flash, not a great person. Don't think I'm allowed to. Yeah, so not a great person. That certainly puts a cloud over it. My hope, this is what I came up with. This is what I hope the movie is. I hope he plays Barry Allen, the original Flash. Not the original Flash, the second Flash. Jay Garrick's the original Flash. I hope Ezra Miller's Barry Allen dies at the end of this. That's not a shot at Ezra Miller. That is canon. Barry Allen dies and is replaced by, my opinion, the better and best version of the Flash, Wally West, the Flash I grew up with, Wally West. So what better way to completely flush the Snyderverse down the drain than by killing off the last remaining performer still performing. Well, I guess we're getting an Aquaman sequel, but I think that's the end of Jason Momoa too. Kill him off, have somebody show up and be like, I'm Wally West, I'm the new Flash. That's my goal, that's my hope. We'll find out because we're gonna go see the movie. Jess is excited because she wants to see Michael Keaton as Batman again.
That's the only redeeming quality that I want to see in this movie.
One other interesting thing that I'm kind of interested in about this movie, it's been announced that, I'm gonna butcher this person's name, Andy Muschietti, who directed the latest adaptations of It, directed this. It's recently been announced he's directing Batman the Brave and the Bold, which is going to be the James Gunn, Peter Safran, DCU version of Batman. So I kind of wonder, is that connected to this, or do they just really like the job he did on this Flash movie? It's like, hey, do Batman next. I don't know. We're going to find out tonight. You can come with us, or don't. Maybe I've talked too much. Maybe you should just tune out. Your choice.
Weather people don't know anything, especially in the summer. Literally 0% chance of rain. Radar shows no clouds, and yet it's pouring. I was nice enough to let Jess out the front door so she wouldn't get drenched, so I want credit for that.
What kind of candy did you get?
Sour Patch Kids?
Maybe later. I'll do a quick popcorn review.
If you want a daily dose of exclusive content, movie reviews, and fresh takes, follow us
It's
at
good
What's
popcorn.
Movie on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter.
4.5 corns.
Essential to moviegoing friends
watching Nuvi right now. Don't finish your candy before the movie starts. Maria Menounos just told you to. Oh! Up! Up! No, not the Pepsi. All right, so we just got out of the Flash. Jesta, spoiler-free, instant reaction, quick thoughts.
I actually did like it. When I got over the fact that DC is so cheesy, you have to get past the fact that it's cheesy. Once you get past that, it's actually pretty funny.
I don't know about that. I'll share my full thoughts when we get home, including spoilers.
Just got home from The Flash. Jess and I talked a little bit about the movie on the ride home. I'm really glad she liked it because she certainly was, not that thrilled about going to see it. She outright said, she's not much of a DC person. Rightly so. The movies have not been great post Chris Nolan Dark Knight trilogy, but it always hits me a little hard when people say they don't like DC, because I was a DC person before I was ever a Marvel person. Death of Superman was my introduction to comic books and just the whole world of comics that have come with it, movies and all. That being said, for the DC extended universe, which is now being wrapped up and brought to an end, the Snyderverse, whatever you want to call it, this is by far the best entry in that. Hands down, The Flash, better than anything that's come out since, better than, any of the Man of Steel, Dawn of Justice, Justice League, Aquaman. I haven't seen either Shazam, but I guarantee it's better than both the Shazams, because I don't know, just looking at them, I can tell they weren't probably that good. Black Adam looked like a disaster, never saw that. So, better than Wonder Woman, definitely better than Wonder Woman 1984. Probably I'm kind of in a weird spot on it, because there's definitely stuff I really, really liked about it, but there's little ticks and little annoyances to me. If I was going to give it a star rating, I'll put it officially on Letterboxd. I probably would almost give it, I feel like it's 3 1/4. You can't give 3 1/4 on Letterboxd, but I would probably give it 3 1/4 stars if I could give 3 1/4, because it's kind of it's better than a 3-star movie, but 3.5 feels high. I think I said the same thing with Bull Durham. I feel like I'm having a flashback here of Bull Durham, but that's about where it was for me. But when most of the rest of the DC movies that have come out recently have been negative stars or 1.5 stars, that's a huge improvement. I'll get into the spoilers here now. I think what probably brought the movie down, I think watching it in a different context might have made it seem even better than it was, because two things that I think really kind of hurt my enjoyment or brought the movie down a notch for me, however you want to say it. One, year or so ago, this movie's been delayed a couple times due to COVID, due to some reshoots, other things. I think they were also delayed maybe once to get it away from some of the controversies that Ezra Miller was dealing with in real life. I'm not sure about all that. The timeline's a little sketchy there, but there was early reports, early reviews coming out a year or so ago that were Warner Brothers thinks they have the next Dark Knight on their hands. They think this is going to change the game for superhero movies, blah, blah, blah. Just hyping it to the ends, and the hype was way too high. It's nowhere near as good as the Dark Knight. It's, not anywhere close to the top tier MCU movies. It probably would be a top half MCU movie, but just the hype that it was getting a year or so ago. There was a leaked report that came out a while ago that Warner Brothers or Andy Muschietti, the director, somebody had shown a private screening of the movie to Tom Cruise, and Tom Cruise was losing his mind about how good it was, and nowhere near any of the hype that was coming out early on for the movie. It's nowhere near as good as any of the hype made it seem like it was going to be. Had all that not been out there, if everybody's just oh, here comes the Flash movie. The Flash movie's finally coming out, might have enjoyed it a little bit more, because the expectations wouldn't have been so high and not met. The other thing that I think hurt it was the two big... Once again, we're getting into spoilers here. This is where we're getting to spoilers. Spoilers. But these aren't really spoilers, because the promotional material, the trailers, everything spoiled it before I even got to it. And that's what I think the problem was. Michael Keaton's back as Batman, and there is a on-screen portrayal of Supergirl. I think first time a Supergirl's been in film since Helen Slater's version. I think that's her name, Helen Slater. Sorry if I messed that up. From the spin-off of the Christopher Reeves movies. The movie clearly constructed their appearances to be surprises within the movie, to be these big reveals. The first time you see Michael Keaton's Batman back, Flash, they're going to Bruce Wayne's house because Flash knows Bruce Wayne is there, and he finds out that Batman is the only hero that exists in the timeline he's mistakenly created. So he knows where Batman is. He knows who Batman is. He goes to Bruce Wayne's house. An old grizzled man with like hair in his face and a long beard and long hair confronts the two versions of Barry Allen. This won't make sense if you haven't seen the movie. Once again, spoilers. Why are you listening to this point? I already told you spoilers are happening. He goes to, get into a fight with the two Flashes, and it's concealing who he is. Who is this old, haggard-looking man? And then when the fight kind of breaks down and his hair is kind of at his face, you see, oh, it's Michael Keaton's Batman. It's Michael Keaton, which would have been an insane theater reaction, amazing moment if you hadn't seen in every single trailer, if they hadn't announced like 2 years ago that he had been cast to return as Batman, if this had just been something that came out of the blue in the middle of the movie that you did not know was coming, it would have been a huge, like, oh my god, Michael Keaton's back as Batman moment, and it kind of got pulled away because it's been a well-known thing that's been out there in the ether. The Supergirl thing was kind of same way. Like, so there's a subplot in the movie that they're back at the time from Man of Steel when Zod is attacking Earth, and they discovered because of the way Barry had messed up the timeline, messed up history, Superman didn't get found the same way he did. He didn't land in Kansas. He wasn't with, the Kents and raised in Smallville, but Wayne Enterprises has records of a alien craft that was abducted by Russian military intelligence or something like that. It was being held in some bunker in Serbia, so they go there thinking they're going to get Superman, going to find Superman, going to get him out to rescue him so that he can help them stop Zod. They find this containment bunker. It's all building up. It's like, this is where he is. This is where Superman is. He's in this containment bunker. They open it up, and there's this like haggard looking, just like speed up woman, and it's like, oh, this isn't Superman, but Flash, being the hero that he is like, well, we're going to save her anyway and get out of here. As soon as they get her out of the bunker, she's in the sunlight. Sunlight charges up Kryptonians. Yellow sunlight is their power source. She gets all supered up, and she turns out and starts beating people up the same way Superman would. She's got a suit that was with her that was clearly like a, symbol of hope. The Superman logo's on it. She's clearly House of L, Kryptonian. If that had happened in the movie, if you were building up thinking, oh, we're about to get Henry Cavill, we're about to get Henry Cavill, we're about to get Superman, and it's Supergirl, Jessica didn't know what was happening. She doesn't know Supergirl, the kind of history there. I knew what was going on right away, because as soon as she starts to get powers from the sun, Jessica goes, oh, that's weird, the sun's doing something to her. But I already knew Supergirl was in the movie, so as soon as I saw, the whole time they're building up to finding the missing Kryptonian, I knew it was Supergirl the whole time. But if I didn't know Supergirl was in the movie, I would have been in my head oh, this is either, maybe it's going to be Henry Cavill, maybe it's going to be the new Superman that's going to be in the new DC movies, maybe they're introducing him here. And then even when it was Supergirl, I'd be like, well, this is such a good twist, this is so different, this is so awesome, this would have been so cool. But both of those were spoiled and revealed by Warner Brothers, by DC, just well in advance. Both castings were announced. They weren't even hidden. And the closest comparison I could think, spoilers for Spider-Man No Way Home. If you haven't watched that, it came out years ago at this point. Spoilers. Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield are both brought from their respective universes to the MCU, reprising their versions of Spider-Man. There was reports, there was leaks, there was stuff that was coming out, hints, rumors that they were going to be in the movie, but Marvel, Disney never once put out any kind of official report, no, casting notice, that they weren't in the trailers, the previews, any of the promotional material. If you follow entertainment news, you knew they were probably going to be in the movie, but if you're just somebody who just goes to see the MCU movies because you like watching movies and don't really follow the behind-the-scenes news, you would have been totally surprised and blown away and shocked at the arrival of the two former Spider-Man. And you could have had that in this movie. And maybe, if there's people who don't follow anything that closely, don't watch trailers, had no idea that Michael Keaton was going to be back as Batman and Supergirl, they probably got the biggest kick out of that. Playing devil's advocate, I can kind of understand why Warner's was so upfront about that stuff, because they need their movies to work. They're not the guaranteed cash cows the way the MCU is. They've had kind of a disastrous run of movies, so they probably thought they had to put everything out there that they could to get people to make sure they go see this movie, particularly maybe because Ezra Miller also isn't the most box office draw, just in general, but also with their, kind of issues, because that was one of the things even Justice said was I don't really like this Ezra Miller person. I don't know if I want to go see their movie. So there's things that DC was probably trying to overcome that they felt like, we gotta let everybody know Michael Keaton's in this movie. We gotta let everybody know there's a Supergirl in this movie. Maybe we gotta put everything out there to make sure people go see this movie. To that regard, I was kind of stunned by the attendance, at least in our theater. You know, it's a small sample size, but Friday night, 7 o'clock, opening weekend, theater wasn't empty, but it wasn't anywhere near full. So I don't know if that's any kind of indication of what this movie's going to do box office wise. You know, we'll have to see once the weekend's over. But all that said, really enjoyed it. Thought it was, once again, the best entry in this kind of previous era of DC movies that were kind of coming to an end on. I was curious to see if it was going to do anything to really like tease and set up the new DC movies to come. But I mean, like I said, it was supposed to come out 2 years ago. It was pretty much a done deal 2 years ago, wrapped filming. So they could have gone back and done some reshoots. There's tons of CGI in the movie. They definitely could have done some CGI bullcrap to, you know, add in some features of what they're teasing to come with Peter Safran and James Gunn's version of the DC Universe films. I told Jessica, I was like, I think this is probably the best job Michael Shannon ever had. He plays Zod again, but I'm pretty sure he did not do one single day on set, because I think the entirety of the Zod performance was all CGI. And just he maybe went in and recorded like a few lines of dialogue to be dubbed into there. So easy super payday for him. There were some cool pulls from different parts of the DC universe because it is a multiverse kind of film. So there were some like cool cameos, cool Easter eggs of the history of DC, you know, films, movies, stuff like that. I won't spoil those. I'll leave those up there because maybe some of the stuff I've told you about this movie would make you go like, oh, that sounds cool. I want to go see it. And I think you'll get a kick out of some of the little Easter eggs and teases and cameos that they do throw in there. But it really didn't, I guess it kind of did, you know, with opening up the multiverse, but kind of showing that Barry had messed some stuff up and altered some stuff. It kind of gives them a way where if they want to connect the previous DC films with what's to come, they've got the key to kind of just do a flip and reverse. But I kind of think there wasn't really like a clear path to that. You didn't get any kind of tease of what's to come. So I kind of almost think that, you know, and this would almost make sense at this point in time, because you kind of want to just at this point just kind of wash your hands of the old DCEU as much as you can. Probably when James Gunn's stuff starts, I think the first official one of his canon is Creature Commandos animated series. There's going to be a Waller TV show. And then Superman Legacy is going to be the first movie in the new DC shared universe. Although the Waller stuff is connected to Peacemaker, which is connected to DCEU, so it's almost like they do kind of have to keep everything tied together. I kind of have a feeling they want to keep maybe Margot Robbie in the mix as Harley Quinn, which would be from the old. So I don't know. It's very confusing, but they did give themselves kind of a key with the Flash's kind of multiversal stuff to be able to kind of reboot, reflip if they want. But I would almost just like say, hey, we'll keep what we like and just not even explain why we kept what we like and had new stuff. Superman Legacy is a brand new movie. We can do whatever we want. I don't feel it's like, you know, you'd be bogged down trying to explain why, you know, oh, this isn't Henry Cavill anymore. This is a new guy playing Superman and he's like 10 years younger. Just go forward. Just tell your story, move on, start a new universe. That's what I would do at this point, I think. But last stuff I'll talk about is a little bit of Ezra Miller's performance. Me and Jessica kind of disagreed on this. I thought Ezra Miller was very good in like the comedic part of the Flash role. Like it was a very funny movie. Like it's a lot funnier than a lot of the other stuff that the DCEU put out. And he was really good in the comedic parts to me, but anytime he tried to be serious and like really like portray, like deliver like strong, like, you know, important, like serious lines, I was almost kind of asking myself, is Ezra Miller like a bad actor? Because I was like, I don't think they're very good at this. I don't think this feels stiff and like bad delivery. And she said, well, that's, you know, their acting style. And I was like, well, I don't know that if your acting style is being a bad actor, that doesn't seem good to me. I never liked Ezra Miller as the Flash. The first time it was announced that they were cast as the Flash, I was like, this is stupid. He's nothing like the Flash. Every movie I've ever seen him in doesn't scream Flash, doesn't seem anything like the Flash. He's more be like the Creeper or like I could almost see him being Booster Gold. I could almost see Ezra Miller being a Booster Gold type character, just like off the wall goofball, not serious character. They almost played Flash almost not just completely ridiculous, but just a tick away from almost being like borderline Deadpool-like character. So don't like Ezra Miller as the Flash. I hope that's just washed away with the new DC. I hope, because there's no announcements of the current slate of what James Gunn's DC universe has coming. There's no Flash announcement of a future Flash movie. The director of this movie, as I mentioned earlier, Andy Muschietti, is lined up to move over to Batman, which, you know, you would think if they were going to continue off of this movie, you know, logically that director would direct the sequel or the continuation of the story. So seems like a terrible person in real life, and I never liked him as the Flash. I liked him in the comedic parts of this movie. That when he was being funny, like, there's two different versions of Barry Allen. The more kind of weird, stoner, funny, eccentric Barry Allen was better than the regular Barry Allen, but just in general, I don't like Ezra Miller as the Flash, and I never have. So hopefully that this kind of closes that chapter, and we get, whenever the Flash comes into James Gunn's DC universe, it's a new actor. And, you know, I'm not opposed to doing different takes on the character. I don't think, you know, the Flash has to be the kind of stoic, you know, typical Barry Allen from the comics. Like, I love the portrayal of Supergirl in this movie, and it was nothing like any portrayal of Supergirl in the comics. It's like a angry, rageful woman who's been ticked off because she's been locked in a cell all this time, and she was conflicted of, you know, why did I protect Earth when they locked me away? But then also I don't like the Zods either. So I really like the Supergirl portrayal, which was very different than anything you've seen in comics. And Ezra Miller's Barry Allen is very different from everything you've seen in comics, but just for the most part didn't like it at all. So that was, if there's three things that brought the movie down to me, it's just Ezra Miller in general. Although, like I said, good in the comedic parts. Having the cool reveals be so publicized beforehand, and the overhype of it. But like I said, still good. Still the best that the initial wave of DCEU has to offer. I recommend seeing it. It's an enjoyable movie. It was a fun watch. Probably a little too long, probably a little too much CGI, but that's true for every movie that comes out now. So, like I said, probably 3.25 stars is probably what I would give it if that was something I could, you know, probably feels fair to me. But like I said, I would recommend it. Go see it if you're into, you know, superhero movies and the like. If you're not into superheroes and the like, go watch Bull Durham. I reviewed that last week. I do movies every Monday. Maybe. We'll see. I'm not sure if this is going to stick or not, but we've done it a few weeks in a row, so it's going on for now. Thanks for watching. More to come. Goodbye.